Jedan od najistaknutijih i najsvestranijih stvaralaca današnjice, pozorišni reditelj, scenarista, koreograf, scenograf, vizuelni umetnik, Belgijanac Jan Fabr, početkom 2020. godine utisnuo je ubedljiv trag na našoj kulturnoj sceni. No ubrzo, pod naletom pandemije virusa COVID, njegovi projekti nastali kao plod dugogodišnje saradnje sa Kulturnim centrom Beograda izmešteni su u karantin i u virtualni prostor. 21. februara u Beogradskom narodnom muzeju otvorena je njegova izložba Praznik malih prijatelja. Sledećeg dana na sceni Raša Plaović Narodnog pozorišta premijerno izvedena monodrama Noćni pisac, zasnovana na Fabrovim dnevnicima. Tih dana predstavljen je i njihov treći tom na našem jeziku, Noćni dnevnik od 1992. do 1998.
Your way of working, you're describing as improvisation based on instinct, intuition, and intelligence. It's 4A. How it works?
Let's say intelligence, intuition, instincts. The three most important organs you need as an artist to create. Because when you don't bring these three organs together, the art is dry.
Izložba Praznik malih prijatelja, čiji je kustos Joana De Vos, obuhvata Fabrove rane radove nastale 70. godina proteklog veka, kada je fokusiran na svet insekata, promišljao univerzum i njegove kontradikcije, formulišući svoje osnovne stvaralačke postulate, koji su postali ključni i za njegov pozorišni i literarni rad.
It's essentially kind of humus. There everything starts from this, the years of 77, 78, 79. She arranged that this is also my first laboratorium here. I created the first laboratorium, first in the basement and then in the garden. And the laboratorium is based on the shape of two noses. It's a tent. So the idea was busy with the idea of through smell to create art. Because art is usually connected with the eye. The history of art is all to do with the eye. And since Duchamp, with the thinking, with the brain. And I was trying to create art through the nose, through the smell. And I brought, let us say, I was digging up worms, catching flies, mosquitoes, pulling, cutting out the flies, the wings, smelling them, and where the smell was fitting. So I created art through smell. I was a kind of young Dr. Frankenstein who was busy with transformations and metamorphosing. Yeah, out of the fascination for the mechanic of life, and of the fascination of this. We go to Mars today, but still we do not know enough from all these creatures who live between us, because there are much more millions of insects than humans on this planet. They are the radars of the humankind. They are the oldest computer of the humankind. So this was my fascination, and the fascination came apart from myself, but also apart from. I had a family member, the brother of my father, my uncle Jacques. He brought books from Joana De Vos to me when I was 17, 18 years old. And Joana De Vos is the most important entomologist. He was an autodidact. He had a small house in Sérignan, and by observation, he made beautiful drawings in prosa. By just looking and observing. And this gentleman inspired me immensely, because he was really, in the deepest sense, an amateur. An amateur who took a lot of time, a lot of love, a lot of passion, concentration to create. And still I have this today as an artist.
And this is
something genetical. I got this from the family Fabr.
Use your eyes! Use your eyes! Dr. Fabr will cure you! Use your eyes! Dr. Fabr will cure you! Use your mouth! Use your mouth!
When you watch the drawings that came forth, that he made in this tent, you see the importance of the senses. To use your eyes, your ears, and foremost your nose. Because on one of the drawings you can clearly see that he compares the tent with the form of two noses. And the smell, the nose, is like the most important thinking organ. And it gives you direction without having the clear vision. You just go feeling your instinct, intelligence, and intuition. And for me, that's why this feast of little friends, this feast of the insects, the spiders, and so on, it's a feast of the senses. I chose for this because it connects everything and it shows him as a consilience artist in the making, an artist who goes further in, who gains insights by the linking of different fields of experience. You see him as a magician, as a visionary, and as a very clever young artist, which he still is today. You see this great, abundant imagination throughout his whole universe.
And how could you define what is the role of insects in your work, in your life? What is understanding? Because it is said that the insects are connection between the dead and life, between the earth and the visible part of the world.
Besides, I was, as a young guy, quite interested in, let us say, the kinetical intelligence of them, the kinetical intelligence, and also the way they dealt with territorium and with space. And also, it's 17, 18 years old, I was studying in the Royal Academy of Antwerp of Beaux-Arts, doing also art history. My father took me a lot to museums, and then you see in the classical vanitas paintings, the Flemish tradition of vanitas paintings, but also the French, the Spanish, Italian tradition, you see often in the vanitas paintings insects. And all these insects, they're a symbol. Like the butterfly, you see often back, it's the soul. The scarabaeus, a type of scarabaeus, is the bridge between life and death. Death not as a negative energy field, but as a positive energy field. And every scarabaeus, for example, you have carnivore scarabaeuses. They represent also the eating of the flesh in the vanitas. Because you have, for example, you have scarabaeuses or chemical warriors. The first chemical warriors in the world were scarabaeuses. So we have to understand that animals are the best doctors and philosophers in the world. We can learn a lot from them.
And are there some similarities between insects and humans?
But yeah, what I said, scarabaeus has an outer skeleton. For the reason it survives so much longer than humans, much older than humans, and survives still today in immense amount of families of types, is because they have an outer skeleton, because they are not so vulnerable like us. We have an inner skeleton. So essentially, consilience, I call myself a consilience artist, is always by the study of a field. For example, entomology, you look to entomology and you look to, for example, humans. You can find the links. And out of these links, you can give new interpretations.
Theater of spider heads. It seems that it's important work in this exhibition. How you create this work and what is the story about the spiders?
When I was a young boy, and I was not nice most of the time, I was, my father and my mother put me in the basement as a punishment. But I loved the basement. And I started creating there small objects. I created there a laboratory for myself. And because in those days, I was 10 years old, 10, 12, 14 years old. I got a chemi box #1 and chemi box #2 and a microscope as a young boy. So I made a laboratory in the basement. And what was incredible to see, when I didn't came in the basement for a week, the spiders took over. All my laboratory. They created webs. And I was really, as a young boy, fascinated by this because they are so intelligent, quick, mysterious, that I started observing them, how they implanted everything, how they took over, and how they're incredible hunters, how they were busy with their prey. So I was fascinated by them. And I thought, I'm going to make a world for them, a theater of life. And then I made this work in '78. It's what I call in spinnekop, spiderhead. It's a Flemish word. It means, we say in Flemish spinnekop because it means the spider's head means the reference is that it's very intelligent, that it's the brain, it can think, it can react. Because, you know, all these animals, they have parliaments of instincts. Very, very complex parliaments of instincts. So they're very, very intelligent, eh? I mean, you have some more knowledge than human beings. So, as an homage to my experiences in the basement, I created the Spiderhead Theater. And it's a kind of, when I look to the work now, because I made it in '78, I mean, you have to see, it's, there's a SM space, there's a disco inside, a living room, a communistic space, to ski, there's everything. It's almost like, you know, today, the big warehouses in the world. You have everything in one warehouse. Well, I created this warehouse in '78 for my spiders. They could go and shop, they could go on politics, they could go to ski, they could go on vacation, they could go sporting. Yeah.
And here you are not able to put live spiders?
I don't know why. Because in Belgium, we could do in Germany, in the Netherlands, in the big museums. I think the ladies are a little bit afraid of spiders. Often women are afraid of spiders, huh?
Of course, and mouses, spiders, all those insects.
Maybe that's I don't know.
But your insects, let's say, people understand as something very ugly, and many things they understand as ugly, and you're always speaking about the beauty. So what is the connection between those insects and beauty?
So you say to me that insects are ugly?
No, I don't say. I just
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think probably when insects look to us, they think humans are very ugly. So now I think they're very refined, very, don't forget the way they're constructed themselves over millions of years. Everything has a reason on their body, on their armure, on their harness, the way the horns they create to feel, to fight, to survive. It's incredible. I mean, for example, you have it also in Serbia, the bousier. The bousier. It's a scarabæus who rolls balls. It's a beautiful scarabæus to see him in action. He starts with a ball. He rolls it. He's sometimes busy for 13 days, 14 days. The ball becomes 5 times his size. It's a ball of knowledge, of traces. It's a globe on itself. And at the same time, all the scarabæus steal it and he leaves it. He gives it to all the scarabæuses. It's almost like the Sisyphus myth is inside. I think the Greeks, they studied a lot of behavior of insects also.
So we have to correct our understanding of beauty, isn't it?
Always.
Always.
Always, every day we have to correct ourselves about the idea of beauty. Because beauty is, it's like the butterfly. The moment you take it, you destroy it. And of course, in beauty, I'm talking beauty not only as something aesthetical, because that's makeup. I'm talking beauty about, for me, beauty is a consilience between ethical principles and aesthetical values.
Jan Fabr jedan je od malobrojnih stvaralaca današnjice u čijem holističkom viđenju i tumačenju sveta kič mu čini ona civilizacijska linija koja je začeta u antičkoj Grčkoj. Jan Fabr je rođen 1958. godine u Antwerpenu u Belgiji, gde i danas živi. U istom gradu studirao je na Kraljevskoj akademiji lepih umetnosti. Svoje prve performanse i akcije izveo je 1976. samostalno izlaže od 1978. Njegove prve pozorišne predstave datiraju iz 1980. godine, a filmovi iz 1981. Kao reditelj, koreograf, scenograf, scenarista i dramaturg potpisao je više od 50 pozorišnih predstava. Izlagao je na brojnim izložbama na bijenalima u Veneciji i Sao Paulu, dokumentima u Kaselu i drugim. Istaknutu tačku njegove karijere predstavlja izložba Anđeo metamorfoze, održana 2008. u parijskom Louvru. Fabr je bio prvi živi umetnik koji je samostalno izlagao u ovom muzeju.
Jan Fabr is you can say, a contemporary mystic, and he's fascinated by his tradition, the Flemish tradition, the tradition of the Low Countries, and he's an artist who is always one step or maybe 1,000 steps forward. He's avant-garde, and real avant-garde doesn't exist without knowing your history, without knowing the masters. And he calls himself always a dwarf born in a country of giants like Rubens, Van Eyck, Jordaens, and so on. So he has a very big knowledge of the art history, but also about the spiritual symbols, religious symbols, and so on. So he also, and this is what you can also feel here in this exhibition, he's looking for reinvention of the self, and this is something he wants to share with his audience. And the reinvention of itself, it's also exemplified in his need to make a future body, a body that cannot bleed anymore. And this body, when you want to make a new model, you need a base, and this base is the bleeding of Christ with his stigmata. So he wants to create a future body, a strong body that cannot bleed anymore, and he bases this also on his knowledge of the scarab beetle, for example, who has this very strong shield. Their house is their armor, and they survived for centuries, and until today they are present in many stories, legends, myths, and they are the symbol of the bridging of time, the bridging of different atmospheres of life and death, past and present, and together with them and together with the artists we go to the future.
U ovdašnjoj kulturnoj sferi Jan Fabr je ostavio višestruke tragove. Beogradskoj publici prvi put predstavio se na Bitefu 1984. godine predstavom Moć pozorišnih ludosti. Tada je osvojio Grand Prix festivala. Fabrov rad iz domena likovnih umetnosti u Beogradu je prvi put predstavljen 2004. godine u Muzeju savremene umetnosti u sklopu gostujuće izložbe Stedelik muzeja iz Amsterdama. 2011. na Bitefu izvedena njegova predstava Prometej, pejzaž Jedan. Iste godine Fabr je kao učesnik Oktobarskog salona izložio 2 rada. Tada je instalaciju Sam svoj pokret poklonio ovoj manifestaciji, čime je utemeljena zbirka Oktobarskog salona. Scenski spektakl koji se smatra jednim od najznačajnijih događaja savremenog teatra, predstava Planina Olimp u slavu kulta tragedije, zasnovana na antičkim mitovima, prvobitno izvedena u Berlinu, Jerusalimu, Atini i Avignonu, otvorila je i obeležila 51. Bitev 2017. Reč je o uzbudljivoj kreativnoj insomniji u kojoj je 27 izvođača 24 sata neprekidno boravilo na sceni. Tu su se budili i spavali, izvodili ekstatične plesove, ali i meditativne sekvence, probijajući granice ljudske psihofizičke izdržljivosti. Uz direktan prenos na 3. kanalu Radio-televizije Srbije, ova predstava je polarizovala ovdašnju javnost i modifikovala oveštala estetska i etička shvatanja savremene umetničke produkcije.
Last time we met, it was just before the premiere of the Mount Olympus in Belgrade. It was a big success and very important thing for Belgrade. So I want to ask you, did you remember what you wrote in your diaries after or during this performance?
I know that I wrote every night. I always do on tour with my company, but I don't remember what. I mean, no.
Okay, but I hope that in the 4th or 5th edition of your night diaries, we will be able to read about.
Yeah.
And tell us, what is the role and importance of writing diaries for you?
You have to imagine, lady, I'm a classic insomniac. I do not sleep since my youth. I only sleep 2 hours, 3 hours maximum, like my mama. It's genetical. So for me, drawing and writing at night, it's to become calm, to relax, to reflect, to think, to have utopic ideas on paper. And it's always different moments at night. It's sometimes I'm drawing a while, and then maybe at 4 o'clock at night, then I'm starting writing things in my diary, things who I think for me are important. They can be private thoughts, reflection about art, about being an artist, reflections about my theater work, reflection about the work with the dancers. It's an ongoing process of let us say, thinking and reflecting.
And it's interesting that you wrote that writing diary is not your way to kill time, but it is a way to give a chance, time to survive.
Yeah, it's almost, to write, it's almost like an alibi of my own doubts, of my own existence, of my own vulnerability.
Posle noćnog dnevnika, koji obuhvata period od 1978. do 1984. zatim onog od 1985. do 1991. godine, Kulturni centar Beograda je u svojoj ediciji Sam svoj pokret objavio i 3. knjigu Fabrovih dnevnika od 1992. do 1998. godine. Ova intimna i provokativna autobiografija, sačinjena od jezgrovitih haiku beleški, osnova je monodrame Noćni pisac, koja je postavljena na sceni Raša Plaović Beogradskog narodnog pozorišta. Nju je režirao Jan Fabr, dok je lik Fabra na sceni maestralno interpretirao glumac Slobodan Beštić.
Ti dnevnici su ponekada veoma lični i govore o njegovoj majci, o njegovom bratu, o porodičnim odnosima, o najdubljoj intimi jednog umetnika. I on je to meni objašnjavao za svaki zapis, kako se osjeća u Njujorku kada je sedeo i terali su ga da ugasi cigaretu. A on neće to da uradi zbog toga što je to skoro za njega jedan politički protest. I u tom smislu me vodio od reči do reči i ja sam kroz taj proces, mislim to je jedan dan trajalo naravno, počeo da shvatam njega kao čoveka. S druge strane, njegove rečenice i misli koje se bave odnosom umetnika prema umetnosti, to je nešto što je meni bilo blisko, jer to ja mogu da potpišem. I tu smo se negde spojili. Tako da ja uopšte se ne trudim da igram njega, nego njegovu misao. Te rečenice koje ja govorim, to su njegove reči o umetnosti i o tom rušenju svih granica, naravno vrhunske umetnosti, ali rušenju tih granica konvencionalnog teatra, konvencionalne, komercijalne umetnosti i kada dođeš do toga da imaš šta da kažeš, onda moraš da daš, da se izboriš za taj prostor. On to maestralno radi. On je uspeo to da kanališe i da komunicira sa tim ružnim spoljnim svetom na jedan savršeni način. To sam naučio od njega. Fabr svoje predstave i performanse i sve te zapise jesu skandali, odnosno provokacije sveta, civilizacije koja umire. O tome se radi. A on brani ljudskost. I brani ljudskost kroz jednu vrstu krika, šoka i izražavanje nečega što je najlepše u čoveku, najdublje, ali bez ikakve sentimentalnosti. Stalno mi je govorio, nemoj balkansku dramu da mi igraš i nemoj tu da naričeš nad ovim, to je ironično, moraš da glumiš potpuno iz kontre, ali to što ja govorim, to su suštinske stvari. Osjećam se kao, sad ću da citiram jednu rečenicu iz teksta, ja sam greška jer sam Bog. Tako sam.
What is art of the future?
For me, I think the art of the future is returning back to the human body, to the knowledge of the human body, to the quality and the force of the human body. For example, I made a lot of sculptures about the idea that we're living with an inner skeleton, humans. For example, insects, they have an outer skeleton. For example, I made a lot of sculptures with outer skeletons. Imagine we humans would create an outer skeleton. We would not be so vulnerable anymore, and we would go away from the stigmatas of Christ. The moment we cannot wound each other anymore, a new era of emotions, of thinking, of philosophy would start. So I think that's for me the real future of the arts. Not the biotechnology, but the knowledge to regain again the deep knowledge of our own substance, of our own material, to change and to adapt for the future. Don't forget we had a tail, and we still remains of a tail. And don't forget that the blood, the reason it's red, is the iron from the oldest oceans. That's the reason the blood is red. So there's so much knowledge that we, let us say, almost surpass now with a lot of technology. And I think the really future is that I think that we will surpass the technology and we will create again a metamorphosis, a transformation with the knowledge and the material from our own body.
And how far we are from that knowledge at the moment? Are we getting closer or?
Yeah, I think it's incredible how for example, the scientific and the medical world evolves. I mean, look, you're a lady. I mean, we're still living in the times that always the thing that women use, it's done with blue liquid. So it means that our society still says it's something dirty, the menstruation blood of women. Now we're so far that we know that the menstruation blood of women is very fertile, is very strong, very good. So there will be a lot of new developments coming, you understand? But imagine, we're still living with the idea, with all the publicity, that it's blue liquid to test the menstruation band. It's strange, no? It says something about our society. It says something that we are taught to be dirty about ourselves. And our body has an incredible power. The power, the vulnerability of our body has an incredible, immense possibilities, visionary possibilities for the future.